Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you're connecting from. My name is Bukola Orunti, and I'm the instructor for this course, Network Operation 1.0. And this course is being coordinated and owned by Internet Society. So I'm the instructor for this course, and this is the third live session recording. And let me share my screen now. And I also want to believe we all have gotten our virtual machine login details, because going forward, we'll be using our virtual machine for, if not all, most of the activities, most of the tasks for this course going forward. So for the third module, our topic is network working with Unix or Linux shell. And the first topic we'll be considering is a bash shell in Unix. Now, the objective for this module is one, to work with the Unix shell using a range of commands. So we'll try and familiarize ourselves with most of the commands that are being used in Unix or in Linux. I'll be using the word interchangeably, Unix, Linux. And also we'll use a bash shell of Unix. Why? Because it's the most common and most widely used type of program shell that are found in Unix or in Linux. Now, the bash shell is a shortened form of the shortened word for the born again shell. I recall during, I think, our first module, the first live session, we learned about the different shell programs that are available in Unix or in Linux. And then we mentioned the born shell, denoted with SH, the born again shell, otherwise known as bash shell. We have the C shell, shortened form to be CSH. We have the corn shell, KSH, and we have the Z shell, ZZ or ZSH. And another thing I want us to recall as regards that is, for any of this shell, we have different symbols that help us to denote, okay, am I a root user or am I a non-root user, irrespective of the shell I'm using. And we also learned then that for the born shell, the non-root user is denoted with the symbol, the $sign. Now in this case, a single slash. And for the root user is the hash. So just a quick one, I want us to know that for irrespective of the shell we are using, the type of shell, the root user has a common symbol to identify them, which is the hash. Now, but for the bash shell also, just like the born shell, the non-root user is denoted with the symbol, the $ with a single slash, the S with a single slash striking through. And for the C shell, the non-root user is identified with the percentage sign, just like we have on our screen. And then for the corn shell, is also a $ with a single slash, the S with a single slash. And for the Z shell also, we have the percentage sign. So looking at our screen now, I'm sure most of our first login on a virtual machine, our the symbol, or to denote the kind of shell we're using, will be the percentage, which is the same for everyone. I think that should be the C shell that has been pre-installed. Now, if you want to know if you have the bash shell, that is the born again shell, installed on your virtual machine, what you need to do is to type the command you have on your screen here now that says which bash. So from the percentage symbol, just right behind it, you type the word which space bash. And then if you have it pre-installed, you have the output that shows you the path where it's installed. And in most cases, when you install bash, the path will definitely be /user/local/bin/bash. That is the path that, and if it's not installed, then you know the first thing you have to do is to install bash. And to go about that, we've learned that in the previous lesson, to install in in FreeBSD, we are using the package install. So that will be pkg. And you have to first of all change to be a root user, and to do that in Unix, in this FreeBSD, you type the command from that percentage from that you are in, you type the command su, enter, and once you press su and enter, it will change your user to root. Instead of afnog, you now become a root user, and then you can install pkg install bash. And once that is completed, you can exit and then follow the instructions as you have on screen. Now, so the things we are going to do first now going forward is one, to make bash the default shell. Remember, our current default shell is the C shell, so we want to change it to bash. And then the second one is to add a user to the sudo list. That is, so in our case, the user we are adding to our sudo list for each and every one of us is the afno, because we all have the username afno in each of our virtual machines. So we'll be adding afno to our sudo list. Reason being that you don't need to be changing to root at every point that you need to enter a command or execute a command. So we want to be able to do that as an afno user. So you add also, that helps us to be able to use sudo before our command or before any execution. So we have the privilege of a root user. So now to make, like I said earlier, to make bash the default, so the first thing you do is on your virtual machine, you type in the command su from the prompt you're in. And once you do that, it will take you to the root user prompt. So then it may ask you, you'll be prompted to put in your password. And in that case, we all have the details of our password. I don't need to repeat it here. You have the details of your password. So you put in your password, and then it gets you to the root user prompt, where you have the hash symbol as you're seeing it on the screen below, as in below your screen here. So now the next thing is to change our shell. So in this case, I want to change it from C shell to make our default shell to become the bash shell. So what we need to do is to put in the command from the root privilege. To now type in CHSH. We type it together as a single word. In this case, it simply means change shell. Now -s, then space, the path that you have already installed your bash. And in that case, when we typed in the word which bash, it showed us the path. So if your path is the same as what the one you have on your screen now, you use that path. And then space. We are changing shell for U. We are changing the shell for afnog user. So now the next thing, following our learning documents on our learning platform, the next thing we have to do is to make, aside making bash the default shell for afnog, we want to add afnog to our sudo list. So the command to use from the root prompt is vi sudo. So once you put that in, it opens a file. Just directly the second line after the sudo file that you'll be seeing on your screen. This is the same way to be displayed as you have it on the screen now. Just below it, you add the following line, afnog space all equals, in parentheses, all space all. Now, recall we are using a new an editor known as VI, which is usually pre-installed on a virtual machine. So and in case you don't have VI installed, you can simply also do that, just like installed your bash in case it wasn't there, pkg install VI. And in this case, all I need to do is just to press the button escape on my keypad, and then I press the button I. That is, I press escape, then I. It takes me into an insert mode when I'm using VI. Gets me to an insert mode, then I press enter and go to the second line and type in the word afnog space all in capital letters equals, then open a parenthesis, all, close it, and then space all. And that is, once you've done that, you press escape button again on your keyboard, you press full colon, then WQ, that is, W is for write, Q is for exit. And that gets you out of the sudo file. Now, the next thing we are going to learn briefly is introducing Linux command. Linux. So what are the types of command options that we have in Linux? What are the parameters? And then what are the expected output for some of these commands? And then what are the common commands that we should familiarize with that should be at our fingertips as a Unix or Linux user? And then what are pipes and how do we use pipes? So these are some of command options. The first one I have on my screen here is ls. ls displays a list of files. The second one is display file list with details. So some people call it long listing. And then that is ls space -l. And also multiple options if you want to have more detailed information and then you want to merge it instead of typing one then typing the other. You have multiple options in your command. An example is when you want to have your long list in human readable format. So you type ls space -l space -h. That's a word. The same command, you can also type it in another format, ls space -l h. Or if you want it full word, what does h mean? It simply means human readable. So you type it out just the way you have it on your screen. So, but I believe the more you familiarize with some of this, using Unix or using Linux environment, you realize that you always want a quicker, a shorter version of every command that you want to input. Now, command parameters. Now, in either Unix or Linux, when you want to change from one directory to another, remember I said in Linux or Unix, we call folders in Windows, but in these ones, we call it directories. So we want to change path from one place to the other, moving from one directory to the other, from one path to another. We use the command cd. Cd means change directory. So if I want to move from, let's say, I'm in the home and I want to go enter into the, excuse me, afnok directory, all I need to do is cd /home/afnok, or if I'm already in the home, all I need to do is cd afnok, and then it takes me inside the next folder, afnok. So I want us to practice all these commands using our virtual machine. If there are challenges, you can always reach out, and then I will do my best in assisting to overcome this. Then another thing we have to know is that at times there are some commands that you enter in Unix or in Linux that gives a no output. No output means when you enter a command and it takes you back to the command prompt. It doesn't mean there was an error. It means it was successful. And there are instances when you have an output which could be an error. So depending on what you're inputting, no output does not mean it's not successful. It simply means it could mean it's a successful command execution, and then move on to the next step. So you must be very careful. You shouldn't look at it from the Windows environment that something must be shown. At times, when nothing shows, it could mean, for example, now, if I want to change to afnok afnok directory, and I type cd/home/afnok, and I enter. Ordinarily, when you look at it, nothing will display on your screen. It will simply take you back to the command prompt, expecting the next line or set of commands. So in that case, it's a no output. But when you ask and when you do such, and it returns with an error, probably part does not exist or something, then you know that, oh, an error. So we should be careful before we say, oh, nothing is showing or is not working. It's working even when it does not give any output. So common commands that we should have at our fingertips when we are working in Linux or Unix environments. The first one is ls, then the path. Simply means list whatever is inside that path or the, yes, whatever. So in this case, if I say ls space /home/afno, what I'm, the path is /home/afno, and what it simply does is it will list for me the content of the final directory afno. I hope you got that. Yeah, so that's it, ls. And if you're already in that inside the directory afno, can you just type the command ls, or they simply displays the content of the current directory that you're in. The next one here is mkdir. Mkdir is the shortened version word for, yes, is a command or shortened for make directory or create directory. So if you look at it, how we have it on our screen, mkdir space name, it simply means create a folder, create a directory, and the name. So it will only create the directory once it knows the name you want to give to it. For example, you want to create a new folder in Windows. You know, Windows allows you, you click on your folder, and then if you don't put any name, it gives it a default name for you. But it's not the case in Unix. You have to give it a name. So if you are creating a directory, you must put a name. It is very, very important to attach a name behind it so that it knows the name to give it. So make directory, you can say Unix, or some, you can use some command names, and make mkdir abc. So it creates a directory, a new directory named abc. And remember, it will create the directory at the, in your present working environment or directory that you have. So if you're already in afnog directory and then you create another one, it will create it inside that afnog. So if you want to get out, just see this dot, it gets you out into the home directory, and then you can create the directory abc there. In that case, when you type the command ls, it will show you the list of commands that are inside the home. In your case, you now have afnog already exists there, then you have another one that you just created, abc. Then another way, another command that we need to get familiar with is the touch. The touch command, we've learned how to create directory. Now, assuming I'm not creating a directory, like I'm not creating a folder, I want to create a particular file. So we use the command touch. Touch creates a file for you. So that's why I'm saying, if you look at your screen, it says touch, then file name, just like mkdir, now directory name. So in this case, touch and then the file name. And the same thing now, another command that is also commonly used is the copy command, cp. Cp, what are you copying? And where are you copying it to? Now, in this case, if I'm copying a particular file or a directory, I'm copying this to another location. Maybe I'm copying from home, I'm copying inside the afnog directory. Then the name might not necessarily change. So it could just be cp abc to /home/afnog, maintaining the name abc. But assuming I want to duplicate a file in the same directory, now you have to give it different names. Otherwise, it will overwrite the existing one. So I'm very careful with that. So in this case, you say, well, that to tell you that it already exists. Do you want to overwrite? So it's cp abc in that same directory. I'll now say space and then give it a new name. And I say in that case, XYZ. So that means I'm simply copying the content of file ABC, duplicating it into another file with the new name XYZ. So these are commands that we should have at our fingertips. We should know offhand when we are working with Linux or Unix environment. And not, we've learned about the copy. Now, we have another command known as mv, move or rename, is the same function. So, for example, if I have a command, a file, ABC, and I want to change the name from ABC to XYZ. Now I'm not duplicating the file. I'm not having two files with the same content, ABC and then XYZ right now. I just want to change the name of ABC to XYZ. So all I will do is do what? Use the command mv ABC, and then the new name I'm giving it to be XYZ. So if you type ls again in that present directory, it will just change. You realize that ABC no longer exists. Now you have a new name, XYZ. And if you open the file, you realize that the contents are the same. It has simply renamed it. Then another command that we should be familiar with is a cat. Cat means it displays the content of a particular file without going or opening it. For example, I don't want to use an editor to open a file, because to open a file, you use an editor. Now, I don't want to use an editor to open a file, but I want to see the content of the file. You use the cat. Cat displays the content without you going inside, opening it to view the content. And another command we should find out is a more. That means when you are displaying the content of a particular directory or a file, and then it's spanning multiple pages. If you want to batch it into pages, you use the more command, more, and then instead of just scrolling through a 1000 lines and then you only see the end of it, you do it, it will page it out for you in pages. So you look at it more and then more until you get to the last page. Another command or symbol that we should be familiar with is a pipe. Pipe helps you to read, to sort, and to display. For example, you want to copy an output and you want to paste somewhere, and now you want to be able to read through it. When you pipe it using the pipe, and the pipe symbol on our keypad is where you have the backslash. Like I'm seeing on my own keypad now, I have backslash on just directly on top of it is what I have the pipe symbol. Like it's like an horizontal, is it a vertical line now? Yeah, a vertical line, straight vertical line. Now it's not slanted to the front or to the back, like the forward slash also is straight. So you pipe it, it helps you to put in more other options that helps gives clear display of any information you need to read or sort through. So like we said earlier, okay, now this is a good example of where to use a pipe. For example, now I have a folder, music, and then I need to sort through. I have quite a list of files or folders in it. And you can try this on your virtual machine when you create all this, if you have quite a long list of songs in your music and then you want to sort through it, you don't want it to just run through. So just list music and now sort it out, maybe alphabetically or ascending or descending order, and then more. It makes it to be more readable in such a way that each output is actually made to be per page. So you use your keypad to go like the next page, instead of just having it to run through your screen and then you miss, or you have to start scrolling back to see what you have missed. This is usually done when you have quite a large sum of content or large output to be displayed. Now, additional Unix or Linux command also that's common. We have the autocomplete commands. If I want to type if I want to go to a particular directory or a particular path, I can use the autocomplete. We have autocomplete on our keyboard, the tab button. When you type in the first letter or the first two letters, just in case, it will give you, it auto-completes it. And if you have more options under the first two letters, if we press the tab twice, it will list the commands that have the options that have similar letters. And then you know where you're going. And if it's not in that part, you know you're in the wrong part. So the autocomplete there will know that's the tab command. And then the command history. How do you get the command history? The up arrow or the down arrow on your keypad lets you to know. The up takes you to commands you have previously executed in that part, And the down arrow also tells you, okay, the most recent commands. Now, getting help with commands, it's simple. In Linux or in Unix, like we've learned in previous modules, we have a command known as man. Man is a shortened word for manual. It gives you documentation about a particular command. For example, I want to use the command cd, but I'm not sure what it works for or how I can use it. If I type from my prompt, I type man space cd, it will open a documentation for you to know, okay, this is what cd actually means, the full information about it. These are the options available to use alongside cd, and this is how I can use it. So at any prompt that you need assistance, always remember man, and then the command. It will give you clarity on the command you want to use and how to go about it. So what are file permissions? File permissions in Unix, we have the user, we have the group, and we have others. The first one is the user. The user is more or less like the owner of the file. The person owns the file, the person owns it directly. So if you create a directory under as an AFNOG user, under the permissions, you are the owner of that file. So AFNOG owns the file. So whatever permissions you set for yourself is more like the highest permission for the owner. And then for the next set of file permission is the group. Group simply means as an AFNOG user, the group I'm in. Other people that are in the same group like myself, for example, the sudoa group for AFNOG, if I'm in the sudoa group or any group I'm in, members of that group, it gives them I can set permissions for them. Okay, can they do the same thing like I can do as an AFNOG user on that particular file or directory? If I want to restrict, I will set the permissions there. And then for others that they are not the owner of the file, they are not in the same group, but then they have access to the machine, what can they do? Here you set permissions. So we have the UGO, user, the group, and then others. So what are the key takeaways from today's, from this first topic? One, we've learned what bash means. Bash stands for born again shell in the shell ecosystem, and it has many features which makes it a shell of choice for Unix or Linux users. That is why we chose it to be the default shell that we'll be using for the purpose of this course. Now, the second takeaway we have is that many commands have multiple options available, which may change the way the command works or the way the outputs are. Like we learned earlier about the ls command, the most commonly used one, list. List, if you just type ls, it will just give you the name of the files or directories that are in that particular folder or directory that you are in. And by the time you now use the ls with another option, -l, it gives you a long list, more information about the file permissions for that particular file, the user, the group, for others. And if you now use ls -lh, then it gives you more information about the size of the file, or in bytes, in gigabytes, in a more readable format for humans to easily understand. Also, we learned many commands and they have multiple options available, and these options at times may change, or when you add these options, it may change the way the commands are outputted. Also, options are more commonly specified using a dash, then followed by one or more letters, like we previously said. Also, many commands can give outputs, such as viewing the content of a file or displaying the files in the directory. Also, there will be times when you need to copy the output from one command and paste it in another as an input. So you may want to, for example, read the content of the file, sort it, and display it. And this is where the pipe symbols gives us that privilege. Also, the shell maintains a record of commands you have used in the past. So that's where we said on your keyboard, if you use the up arrow or the down arrow, it helps you record the commands you have used in the past, so that instead of typing it again, once you get to that point, you just press enter, it executes that same command again. So that concludes the first part of this module 3. And let's go to the second part. So I would like to share my slide again to the second part. So the second unit or the second topic under working with Unix or Linux shell that we are considering in this third live session is Unix or Linux command lab sheet. So like I said earlier, this third module is quite, for me, interesting. It's more hands-on, it's interactive. So you are expected to use your virtual machine to make it an hands-on thing. Try the command, look at the output, and if there's an error, it also to look back, and you can always reach out to me to understand what exactly is going on. Now, what are the objectives? To issue commands to start and stop processes, and also to configure environment variable. Also, we're learning to work with parameter and argument expansions, and also add flags and that to Unix or Linux commands. So like I said, we've changed our shell from the percentage. Now we are using the bash shell, which is the born again shell. Now there are different processes in Unix. We've learned that, I'm sure, in mode 1, talking about the command processes. And we learned there are user processes and also there are system processes. User processes are known as the application software, and we have the system processes known as the system software, or what is also referred to as the daemons. So example of these are the, you start a process, you stop. For example, you can make your device or system to go to sleep, and you set the time for it to sleep and then time to wake up. Like you say, go set your time alarm. So this runs at the background and then tell it when to start up again. So another example, maybe telling it to sleep for 600 seconds and then ask it to ampersand, like, go to sleep. So, and when it should wake up. So if you look just on my screen here, it says sleep for 600. And so also there are commands that runs a list of the current jobs. You can have a list of what are the jobs that are currently running. And if you have just one, it will list. If you have more than one that are running in the background, so it will give you a list of all the available jobs. And if there is none, you have no output. So now if I want to see what are the job or the table of processes running, we need to PS AUXW. So when you can try the command, when you try it, you see the output. What are the processes that are running on your machine? Not only the ones, some are running at the background that you have no way. You want to have a feel, or maybe your system seems to be slow or be hanging. What are the processes that are running in the background that I may not be aware of, or that is chugging up the memory space on my system that makes it to be so slow? You type in the command and then you see the output. It gives you an idea. Then we have what we refer to environment variables. Print the variable environment for you. And then this is an example. So if you type this print environment, you have this output on your screen. So I expect us to all run these commands. It tells us, okay, what are the editor that you are using as that particular user. What will PWD talks about the present working directory that you are in, and the log name, the pager, and all those things. So let's familiarize ourselves with all these commands. Then if you want to alter the behavior of particular, you can echo what is the editor that I'm using, or print the editor and the likes. So we have what we refer to as a cron program. So it's like a job scheduler. You want to run, maybe you are running a particular command and you want, okay, we want this completed, or you want to set your PC to always reboot at a particular time. Maybe you want it to reboot, maybe after installing an update now, instead of it to auto reboot after the update, I schedule my reboot maybe on weekends. So these are, you give it jobs, it's like job scheduling. You schedule the job, and what job now? A reboot job, as also time, as also intervals. And these are the advantages of Unix, like multitask, multi-user. You set some things and then you go to bed, not worry about, oh, we did this, or I have to be there for it to be able to do a particular execution. So these are some of the command processes. We have the echo, we have the line and parameter splitting, we have the argument, parameter expansion, and all those. These are some of the command processes that we have in Unix and in Linux. So, but more information about this, we have it in our manual. So let's go through the prepared manual for us on the learning platform. And if there are any other questions or challenges you ran into in the course of it, you can bring it to the next live session that I'll be having on Friday and same time. So we will look at it together, and if you can't wait till then, you can always reach out to me and I will assist in whatever way that I can. So this ends this week also to come to an end on today's live session, for live session 3. And then our next one will be for 4. We'll be looking at module 4 and I think module 5 together. So same time next week. Till then, enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend. Bye. Thank you very much.